Vidya, welcome to Zoom Digital. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. I hope you're keeping safe.
Yes, absolutely. Um, Absolutely. My team is being very cautious. Not that I have too many people around me. It's four of us, but we're all in masks, sitting away from each other still. But I guess we still have to be cautious.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Before I ask you anything, I just have to say that the trailer looks really intriguing, and there are so many impressive moments in the trailer, and it's just, there are just subtle dialogues and subtle expressions that are doing it all. It's just so catchy. It's congratulations on the trailer. And
Thank you.
How has the reaction been?
The reaction has been very good, thankfully, and I'm just very heartened by the reaction because it is a different kind of film. It's an unusual subject, so I was wondering how people would receive it, but people seem to be very excited, and that makes me so happy.
How was the experience of working on Sherni?
Oh, it was one of a kind, honestly. To be shooting in the jungle, to be out in the open and just one with nature. And we were breathing fresh air all the time. And, one never felt tired, even at the end of a long day. I think that says a lot.
Were there any challenges during the shoot, or was there anything that was specifically difficult for you to ace during the shoot?
Yes, COVID. Because we finished one schedule before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And the lockdown was announced just before our second schedule. So obviously there was a gap of 6-7 months in between. And then when we went back to set, it was a completely different situation with everyone covered from top to toe and, rules and being very strict and all of that. So that I think was a bit of a challenge. But otherwise, I think the shoot per se was probably the smoothest shoot I've ever been on.
Were you feeling anxious when you returned, to shoot after COVID? In fact, the pandemic is still there. But were you anxious returning to the set?
Not anxious, but, because my producer, Vikram Malhotra, and his team, they were very on the ball. They made sure that, we were being tested every few days, that we were in a bio bubble, that everyone was following protocols to the T. We literally had some monitors on set who would make sure that, people weren't flouting the rules. You had to be masked at all times. So I knew we were doing the best we could, but that was a chance we had to take. But thankfully, we didn't have a single positive case on set, Kriti. So that says a lot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to ask you, what's the story behind the title? Already your film title Sherni released, years ago with Sri Devi in it. Has this something to do with that, or it's a coincidence?
Nothing at all. It's an absolute coincidence. I guess this is, this is a story of a tigress, both human and animal. And I think people in India use Sherni for both lions and tigers.
Yeah.
For both the lioness and tigress. So it just seemed like the apt title. I don't know, it just fell into place, and it's so powerful, it's so strong. I love it.
Yeah. Has there been any real life Sherni moment for you?
Oh, many, yeah. Many, because I believe all of us are Shernis. All of us have that spirit where we're willing to overcome any obstacles in our path to achieve our goals or to realize our dreams. Some of us develop it earlier, some of us develop it later, but I think we all have that drive as women because we're having to create our own path as we go along, right? It's not handed to us on a platter. So in that sense, I think each of us is a Sherni, and I've had my share of Sherni moments also.
In the trailer, there were very subtle moments, not even subtle, some were direct, where there was mansplaining, and there was, very clear gender bias in the trailer that one could see. Is it something, that you faced in real life? And I mean, have you found yourself in these sort of situations?
Absolutely. I think all of us have faced gender bias, and not just by members of the opposite sex. Even I think we all tend to judge each other. We tend to box each other as human beings, and it's a little sharper for women or with women. So of course I've faced gender bias.
How do you deal with it? I mean,
I get angry. I get angry, and then I just I give them a piece of my mind. It happens much less now, but it's still. I remember, people telling me over a dinner that, oh my God, you don't know how to cook. I said, no, both Siddharth and I don't cook. They said, but you should know how to cook, na? And I wanted to say, patash, why? Why should it be any different for Siddharth and me? All my life, my mom would tell me, no, you must learn how to cook. And I'd be like, why the hell should I learn how to cook? I'll earn enough so I can hire a cook, or then marry a man who can cook. But during the pandemic, I have to tell you that I was like, maybe I should have learned something.
Did you know during the pandemic?
During the first lockdown, I did try my hand at cooking. And but that was only to give our live-in house help some help, some rest, because she was doing the cooking 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So only to help her, because Siddharth was like, I'm not going to do anything to help her with the cooking. But I thought this was a good opportunity for me to just try a few things that I like, and I tried them, and then that's it. End of story.
Okay. Much like your character, you've been a pioneer, woman's voice in Hindi films. Firstly, are you used to being called the pioneer?
No, it's always very flattering and humbling at the same time. But I don't know if I'm used to it. Yeah, but it is flattering.
Mm-hmm. Has this been a conscious choice to sort of back women-led films, or is it's just like a coincidence?
No, I think it's not a coincidence, and it's not a plan. It's somewhere in between. I think I have this desire in my heart to do substantial work, roles that have meat in them. And I think along the way that a desire began to manifest, into real opportunities, and things began to happen.
Was there any particular moment that you sort of, you just like you felt that there are not enough stories for women, or you're not getting enough meteor characters?
No, I didn't feel that, because I came in with a film like Parinita, which was which was a dream debut.
Yeah.
And it was an author-backed role, and some other roles that I went on to do were also fabulous. But there were some roles that I did in the so-called commercial films that I thought would be a cakewalk, so I didn't, put in any effort, and I got criticized for it while the films did well. And that's when I told myself, I said, why did I sleepwalk through these films? And I realized that's because it didn't excite me.
Yeah.
So I decided that I'd only do work that excited me, and that's when Ishqiya was offered to me, and Ishqiya was the changing point.
Coming back to Sherni, the film, really uses satire. It's not something that we see. I mean, of course, there are some films, but it's not a very common way of storytelling in Hindi cinema per se. What was that experience for you like? Because I can only assume that a little less and a little more could actually just change the tone. So how was that balancing for you like?
Absolutely. I have to say that, this is the first time someone has asked me a question like that, and you seem really young. So hats off. But I think you're right about the little less and little more, which could change the tone of the film. And but with Amit, it's not a little more ever. It's only a little less. You know, he's always wanting to tone things down to make it as natural as possible. So I think it was tough for me because sometimes I felt like, oh my God, am I being non-reactive? Am I not performing? Because one is, one is to give a very subtle, subdued performance, and another is to tone that down further. And so I was grappling with that a bit. But when I saw some scenes later, I realized, because I don't monitor on set, so I don't get a sense of what we're currently shooting, you know. But when I later watched it, I said, oh, this makes sense. Yeah. You know, because some people are quiet. Vidya Vincent is a quiet person. She doesn't feel the need to react to most things. So I have to be that way.
Was this experience a little difficult to get out of, or was it something you could like switch on, switch off?
No, it wasn't difficult to get out of. Instead, I was hoping that we'd get to jump back in because I love shooting in the jungle.
Okay, and I have to sort of understand, because you started your career at a very young age, and of course, when you're starting at that age, one can assume that people, both men and women at that age, can be naive, and with that comes a lot of struggles and a lot of lessons. What was the most challenging part for you when you started?
I think what was challenging was the fact that I didn't have anyone to tell me that, don't take things too seriously. Even when it's written in the papers, or if you feel like the talk of the town, it's fine. Because my family doesn't come from, isn't a film family. So they didn't know any better either. So I think I took the written word very seriously at that time, and it affected me a lot. If anything, that's the only thing that I wish someone had told me.
Has it become better now? I mean,
so many
years.
I stopped reading.
Okay.
Priti, I stopped reading the papers. I stopped watching TV in terms of the entertainment news. So that's kept me sane.
Okay. Now, it's a little game. It's just, going back to your first. And there are going to be little things. What was your first ever audition?
My first ever audition, my God, was my first ever audition was for a television show, La Bellas, my very first television show. And I remember I'd gone to Film City with my mother and sister, and we had to wait all day. There were I think 150 people they tested in a day. It was crazy. By the end of it, I thought, okay, forget it. I'm not going to do this. But at that time, I got called.
Oh, fate had it planned.
Yes.
What was your first ever salary?
My first ever salary was 500 rupees for a state tourism print campaign that they were doing. And they, someone got in touch with my family, and 4 of us, my sister, me, and I think a cousin of mine went along, and maybe a friend, and we each got paid 500 bucks.
You remember what you did with that?
No, we had to just stand. We had to stand beside a tree, a swing, and just smile.
Okay, all right. What was your break?
My first ever heartbreak, oh God, was it was not really a heartbreak because the boy didn't even know me, but I got to know he liked someone I knew, someone who was close to me, and I was heartbroken.
Okay. Just to wrap it up, coming back to Sherni, what is the one big lesson that you take away from the film?
That, we impact the environment and the environment impacts us. And therefore, we must all do our little bit towards conservation.
And any message for fans before they just gear up to lap up your film?
Yes, I hope you enjoy Sherni. I hope you all are staying safe. You can watch Sherni staying at home, being safe, and with your loved ones, or even alone. And I hope you enjoy it.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Vidya. It was
Thank
lovely
you.
talking to you. Thank you.
Same here. Thank you.